Before I start, just to tell you, I'm sitting in a car, and it's pretty hot. So forgive me if I start to like sweat profusely. If I do, hopefully that helps put off some weight. But that's not the important thing I'm going to talk about here. My package has finally arrived. As you can see, I kind of opened it, but I didn't even have to look inside to know what it really was. Um, you ever you ever look back as a gamer to that first game you ever played? Was it your best moment? Was it your worst moment? To me, either way, it's a moment you don't forget because for many gamers, uh, it was their starting point. I love how people like to go back and talk about their first game they ever played, so I think that's what I'm going to do here before I reveal what was in this package. But everything to do with my gaming life is in this package. So in order to really talk about why this shirt that I got is very important to me, we have to jump back to at a time where even some of you weren't even born yet, to the year 1996. At the time, my parents wanted us to have fun, you know. We were the 90s kids where we were taught go outside and play. Play with your toys, play with your friends with your toys. But, you know, my parents thought they'd liked us to have a lot more fun, want to see us smile more. So in hindsight, they got us black and white Game Boys. Yeah, those nice big bricks. First game I played on that was Super Mario Land. Now, I enjoyed it, but I didn't love gaming yet. I enjoyed it because I thought it was nice. It was a handheld. I got to play games. In fact, I'm going to joke here. Super Mario Land, as a matter of fact, when I played that game on the Game Boy, I thought that was actually Mario's theme song, okay? I didn't play the original Super Mario on the NES. I had no clue what it was. Didn't have an NES. Didn't have an SNES. Our first handheld was a black and white Game Boy. And we played games like Super Mario Land, Kirby Star Stacker, Donkey Kong, just to name a few. And I loved all of them, especially Donkey Kong, because I mean, I have seen the original Donkey Kong arcade, and I thought all this game was, but it turned out that Donkey Kong game on Game Boy had over like 60 levels, and I was like, what is going on here? Why are there so many? I was laughing my head off. I couldn't believe it. This game is freaking huge. And then Super Mario Land was tough, especially halfway through that, and Kirby Star Stacker was just a kind of a Puyo Tetris mix, almost. And that game was still pretty amazing. Man, it is so hot out here. Oh my goodness. I don't care. I'm going to go through with this. So here we go. And this was around the same time that the vice president of Sony PlayStation came out. And he came out with and I still remember seeing this recording. The Sony PlayStation. He would have the best price to beat the N64 and the Sega Saturn. He walked up and he said $299. That's it. That's all he said. That's it. That's all it took. And they sold that year when it came out over 100 million copies. Actually, I think that was just within the PlayStation 1's career, which still is magnificent. Is still amazing. Because, yeah, I'm one of those 100 million. But I didn't get it around that time because it was still expensive. Now we're going to jump to where I started to love gaming, where gaming became my passion. It began in the year of 1999. For Christmas, my parents bought us 3 games. 3 games? Yeah, 3 games. One was Lucky Luke. It was a French comic book in France, turned into a video game by Ocean. Actually, Ocean Software. Actually, that game was really good. That was a really good favorite of mine. The other was Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped. Which sounds about right. It was 99. Yeah, that's right. So, yeah. Crash Bandicoot 3 in 99. Got that game. And the third game was Croc, Legend of the Gobos. My brother, being the oldest, got to decide the game he wanted to play. He wanted to play Crash Bandicoot 3, which at the time, I thought he had the better hand, because after seeing the commercials for Crash Bandicoot, like, where Crash Bandicoot stood in front of the Nintendo of America and literally told them, hey, the Bandicoot's here, and all that. I thought that was funny. I thought the commercials were pretty cool. My brother got to play it first. I was jealous, and we did this thing where we couldn't touch that game until one of us got bored with the game. So if my brother got Crash Bandicoot 3, he'd either play it through to the end, then I could play it, or he'd be bored with it and said, no, you go ahead and play it. That was our rule. So he had first dibs on that. I had to choose between Lucky Luke and Croc Legend of the Gobos. Now, I knew nothing about Lucky Luke, even though it was French. Now, that's going to sound confusing to some people, because yes, I was actually born in France, but not for very long. But I'm not going to get on that subject, because that's the important part here. I did not pick Lucky Luke, because I knew nothing about it. So I decided I would play this alligator with a backpack on his head with tiny fur balls. What is up with that? What is so great about this? This looks so 4-year-old. And I was like freaking 8. I thought I was playing a baby game. I was like, this is a baby game. Why am I playing a baby game? This isn't what I want. This isn't the game I want to play. And then, I'd say after about 2-3 stages, just 3 levels, I fell in love with Croc. I fell in love with Croc, Legend of the Gobos. And it was that very game that made me fall in love with gaming. It was not my Game Boy. It was not Super Mario Land. It wasn't Donkey Kong. It wasn't Kirby Star Stacker. No. We go to 99. I play Croc for the first time. And I fell in love with the game. Now, why did I love the game? I don't know. To me, it was revolutionary. I mean, yeah, we have the N64 was already here. The Sega Saturn was here. We've seen the SNES still, and it was 1999. But what was it about Croc that even after so many PlayStation games after that I would still come back and play the game? Even today, I'm almost 30, people. To this day, I would get on my laptop, turn on my PlayStation 1 emulator, and play Croc. Why? Is it nostalgia? Or is it something more? What is it about our first game that makes us come back almost all the time? Is it the feeling of nostalgia that when you were a kid you played this game? Could it have been, I don't know, the gameplay, the humor, the design, the music? To me, when it came to Croc, it was 2 things. It was the music, because at the time Sony actually had on some major music companies, and they were to make such amazing music. I can even tell you the level in Croc that made me fall in love with gaming. I believe the level was called Underground Overground. It was probably the second or third stage in the Croc game. I remember just walking in the very first area of that level, and I can hear the music just building. And then there's this small mountain that you're supposed to climb, that you have to climb. But as soon as I climbed up there, I saw how brilliantly the light just shines down, even when I moved the camera. And my parents told me that I looked like I was like an anime character that had stars in their eyes, like I was lost in another world. And I honestly believe I was, because with Croc, it was just that. I felt like I was there. And the music was just so beautiful. And this little crocodile, instead of sounding annoying, became more adorable. I'm like, what is it about this game that I like? Everything about the game was simple. Yet it was so powerful. And you gotta understand, this was before Spyro, flaming and roasting since 1998. Okay? Croc was first before Spyro. And Croc was first before Crash. And to this day, I just wish Croc would make a comeback. I really do. Because Croc is my childhood. It is my childhood. I'm not saying it can't be anyone else's, but it is my childhood. Because it was Croc that made me fall in love with video gaming. To this day. Because after Croc, I wanted more. I wanted more games. I wanted something that felt just like that. I then jumped on Crash 3 when my brother was done with it. I loved it. And then Spyro the Dragon. I then after that played Spyro. And I went, whoa, the music is awesome. This dragon is so cool. This is like a boy's ultimate coolness for gaming. Is this character right here. And then the PS2 came around, and the PS3, and the PS4, and yes, even the PS5, which I do own. I had the PSP, I had the PS Vita, I have had every localized PlayStation console in America. And I still think about Croc, who was only on the PlayStation 1. Now, I have seen on Steam, there was somebody who made a side-scrolling kind of Croc familiar game, but it was not the same, because I've played it. I didn't enjoy it as much as I did. What is it about the first game that brings us back? Maybe it is nostalgia. Maybe it is how we feel inside. Either way, deep, deep down, Croc will always be there for me, as I will for him. His keys, the little crystals, the little king himself right here. Everything about Croc will always stay with me, because Croc reminds me of my childhood. Very, very much. Now, I'm not going to force you to do this, but if you feel like you want to, look back to the very first console you owned. Look back to the first game you ever played. Is that first game still a part of your life? Or have you found one that really, really feels for you? Look back on that game. Do you want to always go back to that game? Do you care about that game? Do you love that game? And if you do, maybe one day you can go back and play it again. Feel like that 8-year-old, 6-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, doesn't matter how young you were, when you first fell in love with gaming. It's a memory you will never forget. It's a memory I will never forget. Because I don't think without gaming, I would find so many good friends to talk to. I mean, I have found people to connect to all my life because of gaming. And gaming is such a great coping mechanism. To get lost in a fantasy world you could never do at home. Or see, for that matter. I would love nothing more than to be a part of a world like Genshin Impact, which is one of the newest, single-player online games. But I can't do that. There's no world out there like that I can go to. It's in the game. And yet there are people out there that says gaming can rot your brain. That's not to say sometimes it could, or that it can, but it is also a coping mechanism, and those people don't understand that. Gaming is an excellent coping mechanism for kids, teenagers, and even adults. Like I said, I'm going to be in my 30s soon. And I still love gaming. I could game on this all day long. I've got a brother who's played Final Fantasy XIV. He's put over 10,000 hours into the game. 10,000 hours. Okay. The most single player time I've put into any game was Mass Effect 2, and that was over 350 hours. And that was the original. I'm not talking about the new Legendary Edition. I'm just talking about the original, but still. You never forget your first game. Because that was your starting point. To build you up to what you love to play today. Whether you rage about it, or whether you fall in love with it and need to share it with your friends on a chat. No matter what. Gaming will always be a part of you. And if you've never gamed before, I won't force you to go out and buy a console or a handheld and try it. Find someone who does, who has one. Ask them if you can give it a try. Because I believe gaming is so powerful. Many people, like I said, ignore that. All that matters is finding the games that are best for you to get lost in. The fantasies you wish to be a part of. And I think that's what gaming is all about. To find that perfect fantasy land to play and get lost in forever. Croc was the first one. And funny enough, Croc was my first PlayStation game. So Croc is everything. Before Spyro, before Crash, before Sonic, before Final Fantasy, it was Croc. Before Mario, before Kirby, before Link, it was Croc. And it means a lot to me. So I want to make a shout out to the people that made this shirt. Because I feel like they deserve it. Because this shirt means a lot to me. So with that being said, I have only one thing left to say. And that's this. Thank you, Hunger Club, for making my childhood something to remember again. It meant a lot. Thank you. And to anybody who's been watching, thank you for watching this long 17-minute clip about gaming, because I feel like I had to say something. Now, hopefully the next time won't be so dramatic, but I feel like I had to. So, until next time, this is Headline, saying so long. Until next time. Bye-bye. Ha ha. Curse. Ha ha.